President Donald Trump's approach to trade tariffs has been a hot topic for market analysts, especially in light of recent concerns about his tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada. His tariff strategy is rooted in the belief that other nations have exploited U.S. trade policies, and his goal is to rectify what he perceives as an unbalanced playing field. While some critics have voiced fears about tariffs increasing consumer prices, Trump's supporters argue that these concerns are exaggerated and that tariffs can, in fact, help the American economy in the long run. Trump's tariff approach centers around ensuring fair competition for American workers, particularly in sectors like steel, aluminum, and tech. By imposing tariffs on countries that use aggressive tactics, such as Mexico and China, to undermine U.S. trade dynamics, Trump aims to protect American manufacturing and level the global playing field. Historical evidence, such as the 2018 tariffs, suggests that these policies can lead to a resurgence of domestic industries, resulting in modest gains in U.S. employment, particularly in the steel sector. Supporters argue that Trump's tariffs provide a crucial hedge against potential supply chain disruptions or other economic vulnerabilities. However, the tariffs come with their downsides. Higher input costs can translate to higher prices for consumers, whether it's a more expensive car or pricier household goods. Additionally, retaliatory tariffs from trade partners, like Canada's duties on U.S. whiskey or the EU's tariffs on Harley-Davidson motorcycles, can create instability, particularly for American farmers and exporters. Though these short-term losses are tangible, critics argue that the long-term benefits of strengthening key domestic industries outweigh the immediate negative impacts. One of the central concerns about Trump's tariff strategy is the trade deficit. Despite the imposition of tariffs, the deficit has remained stubbornly high, raising questions about the effectiveness of the strategy in addressing this persistent issue. While tariffs may protect certain industries, they have not yet yielded significant reductions in the overall trade imbalance. That said, the debate isn't just about balancing the ledger. It's also about addressing the broader economic dynamics that sustain the trade deficit, such as the Federal Reserve's money-printing practices. Trump's policies are framed in this larger context, suggesting that reducing reliance on global markets, and by extension the dollar's dominance as the world's reserve currency, could have long-term benefits for the U.S. economy. The concept of free trade also comes under scrutiny in this debate. Trump's tariff policies challenge the traditional notion that free trade is inherently beneficial for all parties involved. Instead, the administration's approach prioritizes domestic commerce, arguing that U.S. citizens should come first in trade negotiations. This approach frames trade as a zero-sum game, where the goal is to secure American interests, even if it means taking a hardline stance against long-standing trade practices. Ultimately, Trump's tariff strategy can be seen as a classic gamble, the hope for long-term economic gain at the expense of short-term pain. In this case, the trade-offs are clear. For industries like steel, the tariffs have brought tangible benefits, creating jobs and keeping manufacturing plants in operation. However, the broader economic impact remains uncertain, with some sectors facing higher costs and diminished global competitiveness. Tariffs can also lead to retaliation from trade partners, further complicating the trade landscape. Moreover, uncertainty remains the biggest challenge of all. Businesses typically dislike unpredictability, and tariffs often introduce volatility that can dampen investment and hinder economic growth. Critics of the tariff strategy warn that it could undermine business confidence, stalling the very growth it aims to foster. Yet those who support the tariffs argue that the risks are manageable, pointing to previous trade disputes, such as the 1980s trade spats or even the Smoot-Hawley tariff, which didn't lead to the catastrophic economic consequences many had feared. In conclusion, Trump's tariffs are a bold, if contentious, move in the broader strategy of protecting American jobs and industries. While they may come with costs in the short term, the potential long-term benefits are considerable, particularly in terms of strengthening U.S. manufacturing and ensuring fairer competition with trade partners like China and Mexico. Trump's critics may decry the tariffs as damaging to global trade, but his supporters argue that they are an essential step toward making America more competitive on the world stage. Whether this strategy ultimately succeeds will depend on how well the U.S. can navigate the uncertain terrain of global trade and adjust its policies to promote sustainable economic growth.